Welcome everybody to the one and only Talking Triple Chimps. That's right, the Real Sharks, Game of Thrones. We're going to be talking about episode 5, which was called We Light the Way, I believe. Just to sum this episode up real quick, we saw Daemon visit his wife in the Vale. Viserys and Rhaenyra broker agreement with the Valeryons to marry Lyonor and Rhaenyra to each other. And Alicent seeks to be more of a dominant base character. We also had a wedding, which I don't know what they're gonna call this one, guys. Is it the red wedding, the gold wedding, or would this be the red and green wedding, or the wedding where someone got his eyes taken out? I don't know. You tell me.
Brain matter wedding is what it should be called, bro.
Right. It was pretty brutal. I mean, that throwdown was interesting.
Yeah.
So, but I want to go. I hate to tell all the listeners, but we're gonna say it anyway. We told you so on quite a few things. I just didn't think it would happen so fast. For example, on the boat we see in the opening, Sir Criston Cole kind of like confessing his love to Rhaenyra and like, let's run away and go across the narrow sea to Essos. And
Stupidly saying that.
right, and she spurned him.
Yeah.
But what's interesting about that too is I like how they finally show Rhaenyra being a little bit more ambitious. She's pretty much like, this is my right. I'm a Targaryen here. It's my right to rule.
Yeah.
It's also like a nice, in terms of what is the word? In terms of fantasy subversions, obviously it's like Rhaenyra is just like flat saying like, I don't have the dreams of leaving my duties. It's like I don't like them.
Right.
I talk shit about them, but like I'm not just gonna run away with someone to forget. Like I'm not doing some Prince and the Pauper shit. Fuck that. It's pretty funny. Yeah. And what's great is that
some Kingsguard.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
And out too, it's like, well, yeah, I'm gonna marry this guy, but he's okay if I do my thing and I'll let him do his thing. So
right.
It's just like.
She's basically just be the side guy. Why can't you just be the side piece?
Right, just be my side piece.
She's like, I want to be the main piece.
Got a good thing going on here. Just let it happen.
And that's going to be the question for the audience down below on a poll here. Did he sully that white cloak? Honestly, let's just, did he sully the cloak? Did he? Yeah. Honestly, come on. I mean, it's one thing if he was sleeping with some back tavern whore and he's like, doing all that. But it's the freaking princess, and technically he's doing his duties. You know what I mean?
Literally doing the duties.
Literally, performing a service.
I'll say this: it's an interesting, and also again, the whole thing is funny in the subversion because, of course, there was the forest scene a few episodes earlier with
the stag.
With the stag, and I think that's a good subversion because that scene is them being alone and intimate. By each other, so maybe you get the sense of like, oh, maybe this in other settings, this would be the setup to the tension. It's like, oh, our love and yet the duties and bow, this would be the back and forth, the conflict. But Rhaenyra is like, no, we don't need to have a conflict. I'm gonna be the queen. I'm gonna marry this guy. We'll just have our own thing. It's like it's
right.
Fun. Yeah. But interestingly, like kind of in the same way that Daemon is so kind of cruel, and he's kind of a huge dick that kills his wife. He's also kind of bound by his
pastor in the head.
Sir Crispin as well, like he is arguably an honorable character, and up until this moment, pretty likable and a pretty good guy. And then of course now we have this moment where he's just driven to just like do like just absolute idiot, absolute violence, just do something atrocious arguably because of his supposed high morality. So, once again, that sense of operating within the graves is really good. I like that.
I really enjoyed the episode too. I liked actually seeing Castle High Tide. I thought it was really interesting. I mean, I expected maybe a little bit more fantasy-ish, but I thought it was okay. I thought
it was good for what it was.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
I thought it was cool. I like again Corliss and the guy and Corliss is just amazing. The way he carries himself in every scene. I just think he's a fantastic addition to Game of Thrones. He's definitely preceding a lot of the previous actors in the other 7 seasons that have come before him. I mean, I really enjoy his character.
He's a
I love
Game
his
of Thronesy type character for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, I love. He's definitely going to be, I think, a fan favorite. And if for those who really do like him, he should go a long way because Corliss is actually a pretty important character for a long time. So he's not going anywhere, ladies and gentlemen. We got to see them talk about, which I thought was interesting, between Lionel Valerian and Rhaenyra about the succession by Corliss when he was like, are they? We thought, who ascends the thrones? Will they be Valeryons? By the way, we got Valerian shirts down below, so make sure you check those out, everybody. Make sure you support the show. Yeah, but he's like, we hoped that they would be Valerians, and he's like, you think my
Uh,
my house would end
no.
just with my daughter? Right.
Yeah.
He's like,
Like,
they're gonna be Targaryen, man.
and then like gave the look like you're gonna say something else. All right, I guess that's acceptable then.
Right.
You challenge the king.
Right. Which was that disrespect too that he didn't show up on the doorstep that he sent his daughter?
This whole episode has so many people demonstrating disrespect
Right.
to
Yeah.
Viserys. It's insane how many people don't respect him. Like,
Because I thought it was funny when she was like, he just returned from his journey and now he's hastened to, get ready to see you. But when he gets in there, like, nothing's done. Like, there ain't no feast. There's no table for him to sit, no chair for him to sit down. No, he's still just sitting on his throne, like, hey,
Yeah.
what's going on?
And like lazily walks up to him, being like, "Oh, I'll bow." Hey, like it just.
And it's
totally
funny that, yeah. But Luke, you made such a good point. I really didn't catch that. But yeah, this whole episode was a ton of disrespect towards Viserys. Everyone's just like, yeah, whatever. He's a lame duck kind of guy.
you wonder if that is now that Hightower is out of the picture, that like,
Well, they're still there technically with Queen Alicent.
Yeah, but like Otto Hightower is not the hand.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I think maybe that's a sense. It could be that like now that Otto is not there to keep things in line behind the scenes, people are a little bit more. They're a little bit more brazen in showing like deference because as we were talking earlier in the scene where he's lamenting that he's had no great victories and but also no great losses. Nobody's really afraid of Viserys. No one's afraid of him
Right.
as king. But obviously he's in power because he's kept everything nice and stable and sane. But at the same time, nobody is afraid of getting him mad. No one's afraid of what he's going to do to him. It's a people do to them. And so that's
Interestingly enough, I wonder if it's because he doesn't ride a dragon. I'm just saying, Luke. Sorry to interrupt your thought. I'm just saying he does not ride a dragon like everybody else. Because Balerion was his last mount basically, and that was the biggest dragon round. And then when it died, he just didn't find any other dragon that he wanted.
Yeah.
Right.
That's out of the book.
He also likely can't ride a dragon at this point.
With one hand, with that whole becoming like a crab person now.
Yeah, he's extreme. Yeah, he's clearly very like weak and all that at this point. So.
Yeah, I enjoyed the episode. I enjoyed it a little less than the. Actually, no, I want to say enjoyed it a little bit more than the previous episode. I thought it was good, and it wasn't so much. Well, I don't know. I kind of find them both equally.
Yeah.
I actually want to say, and I want to steal something. Yeah, because actually, I'm going to steal this from you, Steve. I liked it up until the wedding, because the wedding seemed so, as you once said, hand-fisted in your face with everything.
Yeah.
And it was so like, of course, as you were saying to Luke with the disrespect, Daemon shows up, doesn't do anything. The queen comes in, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah.
Everyone's just walking over Viserys, and it's like, wow, who didn't see that coming? But it was so ham-fisted too with some of the comments like, huh, you know what color Hightower lights when they're calling their banners?
Green.
Isn't it green? Yep.
Yeah.
It's like, and me and Steve made this point again. Why are you tripping over Game of Thrones rules? We all know damn well that House Hightower is actually part of the Reach, which is under House Tyrell. House Hightower may have some vassals, but they're not they don't have
an army.
banners.
Yeah, they
It's
don't
not like
have like a fleet like they're gonna of their own, so it kind of didn't make any sense. I get what they meant, right?
right.
Like, so it was cool in that sense, but like Rob was saying, it's like it doesn't make sense story and lore wise to be like, why is she just presenting herself like I'm ready to go to
To
war
war. Yeah.
and it's just you guys are so right about that. Like I didn't think of that either, dude. Like Viserys is just totally getting disrespected. Everybody's
Yeah.
interrupting him. He's just staring people down while like simultaneously coughing and bleeding everywhere. And it's
Where
just
was I? He's like,
yeah, where
oh,
was
where
I?
was
Yeah.
I? I was giving some kind of eulogy. I think my eulogy. I mean, he really even said too, like when I die. Everyone and a lot of people too were like when the king dies, and even like Otto in the first like
He says it, yeah. When
yeah,
he
he's like the
dies, and he
king's gonna
will.
die, and he
Yeah.
will, and you're gonna have to raise Aegon to be heir and king, which is interesting because I guess we're gonna start to see Alicent be more of that conniving kind of role now,
Yeah. And
which is what she kind of bleeds into anyway.
and I'm really excited because that's the most interesting relationship for me right now is Rhaenyra and Alicent.
Right? Yeah, I
Yes.
agree.
Yes.
And the reason is like and I because I love the dynamic of what is going on
Hmm.
because both of them are still obviously their relationship is strained, but and this was in the previous episode when Otto Hightower like kind of like laid it out to Allison. It's like if Rhaenyra gets into power, you're a threat to her. It doesn't matter
Right.
what she thinks about you personally. It doesn't matter what you think about her personally. You are a threat to her. You're a threat to her. Yeah, you you have to like you're either gonna have to beg for your life or you're going to have to get on the throne yourself. And it's a wonderful because of course one of the most famous lines of the original series was if you play the Game of Thrones, you win or die. Like when you play the
Right.
Game of Thrones, and it's crazy and also like very tragic because both Rhaenyra and Alicent, neither of them chose the Game of Thrones.
Right.
To a
Yeah.
certain, obviously, whatever they feel about it or whatever leading into it, they got into this because of their family. They are doing this, and now it's like they are stuck in a system where they're going to have to kill each other, regardless of their feelings about themselves, regardless about the power that they have, because no matter how much power either of them wield, they're not stronger than the system. They're not
Yeah.
stronger than they're
That's
not stronger
so
than
true,
the
Luke.
That's so
They're not
true.
stronger than the wheel, which is what not even Danny could break. Remember that whole speech of like, I'm not gonna remake the wheel. I'm gonna break the wheel. And
wheel.
and
Yeah,
Tyrion's like, many people have tried better than you have.
this cycle, and of course that's the whole. Obviously, that's the one of the big themes of the whole series. The whole world. It's like it doesn't matter what your individual will is. This is a thousands and thousands of year old cycle of political violence
That just
and
doesn't stop, and
and
it's
violent culture. It's like you're not gonna change it by yourself, and you
yeah.
especially won't change it by continuing it. So, yeah, um,
I think it's kind of interesting though. It seems like they both want to in a way, but then don't want to. Like Rhaenyra going like, yeah, hey, we had an arrangement, so we're not gonna just like be there like king and queen. Like he'll do
yeah,
his own thing, I'll do my own thing. Like they're trying to do that, but you're
yeah,
still following the like roots of this is by queen by duty. Alicent marrying Viserys and having Aegon by duty. And like every scene, guys, like every scene where the baby is crying, by the way, the baby is never not crying. Aegon is always crying. And she's always just like
Well, I think that's just
stoically
all the
looking.
kids.
Yeah.
I think that's all the
Yeah,
kids.
yeah,
Dude,
right.
she's like a
It's a,
breeding sow. She has to
yeah.
have at least two, because Aemon One Eye, he's almost as old as Aegon,
Aegon.
so
Yeah.
he has to be around at this point.
Has to. Well, this is the
Um,
last episode of the young actors. The next after this, we're gonna get older Rhaenyra, older Alicent, and so that's kind of
the
sad that we
good
kind of
story begins.
yeah
I know. I really enjoyed this cast so far.
this
I'm
young
sure they're
cast
still. I'm sure they'll still be around and use them as in other
flashbacks.
things. Yeah. We got to see Melee's for a split second, which I was a
Yeah.
little disappointed. And
Really?
for those who don't know who Melee's is, that's Princess Rhaenys dragon, the queen that never was. That's her dragon. Said to be one of the biggest, and it
It
wasn't very
didn't look
big.
big.
No, it was almost just a little bit bigger than Sea Smoke. Um, so I was a little bit disappointed because it seems like, and I'm just saying, only Daemon's dragon seems unique. Which the other one that's unique too is Aegon's. But then also too, we're supposed to have Vagar come back at some point too. Which all these dragons are supposed to be kind of more unique. Bigger, crazier. Like Vagar is supposed to be huge.
He's supposed to be like a mountain-sized moving dragon type.
Right.
Look, man,
I
he's
mean,
supposed to be a giant.
like it just can eat some of the other dragons and just almost whole, like by like 4 times their size, is what they say. So I am excited to see them get to the war because all this tension is going on. But one thing I didn't, the wedding was just a little bit boring. I'm sorry, it just really was. The dancing scenes were kind of lame. I just didn't really care for it
Didn't
too
like that.
much. No, I mean, I thought everything else in between was good. Even Damon's dialogue between him and House Royce when he's like, "Hey, we my cousin, she was my cousin." He's like, "Oh, well, we didn't have kids, so now I own House Royce and all this stuff." And it was like, "Damn, you're really trying to make him a dick." And
Yeah.
it's working because it's like, Damon's becoming less and less likable, but he's just, I don't know. I always took him more in the book as a Han Solo based character. In the show, he's more of like, I don't even know what kind of other character to describe him. Just more of a scummy kind of character.
He's like a little finger hybrid with like I don't even know like a bolt type of deal where it's like Bruce Bolton mixed with the finger or something. He's just playing the game, but just like in a weird. I don't even know what you would call it, Rob. It's so kind of far from the book of how he is. He's just there trying to see
Yeah.
what's his angle, you know?
Well, he's still Damon. Like showing up to the wedding, that was Damon.
Yeah.
That's definitely a Damon move. Just showing up, popping in, and just being like, "Yep, I'm here. What's up? I'm part of the family." And he's like, and Viserys like, "Okay."
Yeah, he
That
just
part was
totally didn't even
interesting.
acknowledge it.
Yeah, she was just
Yeah.
like, all right. And he even was like, get him a chair. He was
Oh,
like,
that's
what the hell you
right.
guys doing? Get the guy a chair.
Yeah.
You know? So I thought it was an overall okay episode. We also had the dialogue between, what I guess that's Sir Otto's old spy and Alicent, which is not in the book. That guy's not even in the book at all, which I thought was an odd kind of forced scene when he's talking about how the flowers and these flowers bloom in Bravos and they're not really supposed to be here in Westeros, and it's the day the king died because Sir Otto was gone. And it was kind of a forced scene. I felt like not really necessary. But I also felt like the wedding was also kind of forced as well. There was a lot of unnecessary stuff in that
So
too.
much stuff that they were trying to get, I think, is like why it felt so forced. They wanted people to know why she was wearing green. They were really pressing the whole thing with what's his name, Crispin Cole, like totally being like scowling off in the corner. Like if he was the King's Guard, and he's supposed. That's what I didn't like, dude. I didn't like that he was like visibly upset. Like I felt, yeah, like he's just acting like a little kid. I'm like. Crispin Cole in the book is supposed to be this like very militant, like he's guy.
He
I feel like
is.
if he's if he's gonna be upset about Rhaenyra, he's not gonna just be doing what Rob is doing, just scolding in the corner. She said no to
Right.
me, like kind of thing, and it's like what?
And that scene of him killing the other guy because they knew each other's secret, I don't know. It was weird. I guess it was for the audience, and you, my audience, not like you're stupid because you know this. You listen to Real Sharks. Was a way to make you kind of turn against Kristen Cole. When honestly, you should just let it play off of the fact that you should just split it between Rhaenyra and himself because you didn't have to go all out to make him a villain in that sense. Like, oh, I lost my mind, so I have to gouge this guy's eyes out because he knows my secret. I mean, it does correlate with his conversation about this cloak is the only thing I have, and if anyone finds out what I did, it's over. Again, did he sully that cloak? Um, yes or no? Vote. Um, I just thought it was kind of a silly, forced scene, and someone. I wish Viserys would have got up in the middle of that table and just been like, "Wow." what a buzzkill, everybody, right? Jesus. Like, at
Yeah.
least give him a moment of, like, oh, everyone disrespects him, but he is funny. That's why we keep him around. Something stupid. And I'm just kidding,
Something
my
like
audience,
I
but
don't know what.
seriously,
It's like
he should have been
something though.
like,
That was a weird.
Yeah.
what a, yeah, what a dragon biter, something.
Because he just like take a pause and then like looks at him and then he
Yeah.
gets up like he just like threw up. He's like, oh, I'll leave now or something, and he just leaves. It's like what happened?
Yeah. For me, it's like it's very clear. So like it's very clear Crispin lives in a very like he has a very high expectation of his honor. And so when he was trying to speak to Rhaenyra about that, it's like he wants to run away with her because at this point he feels like he can't live with himself because of this worldview. And I think
Hmm.
clearly it's a sense of like Crispin is clearly an emotionally fragile human who had too much of his worldview broken too quickly to do anything. And so then he fucking beats a dude's head. And, and that
It's
was kind of a crazy. That was like, I'll say that was the when that happened. It was like really unsettling because it's filmed the way you would feel a fight would happen in a group, where it's like normal,
hmm
normal, normal, normal. You're
Get
like
back, get back. And,
you just feel like a couple shouts, and there's this brief moment where like, is something going on over there? And like, because it's too big, the room is too big. Nobody else immediately cottons to it. Yeah, exactly. People are just like still going on, and then it gets to the point where you're like, oh Jesus.
Yeah, I mean, like Rhaenyra was getting pushed down. Like people were getting like, and she was just looking like, oh shit, like this is
and
just real.
Linor's. If Corliss didn't know his son was gay, he definitely knows he's gay now
Oh
because he
my
was all
god,
like,
dude.
yeah.
Just like, dude, you didn't do a good job hiding yourself at all there. You know what I mean? And
I
crying
think
when
Corliss knew though. I think
I
Corliss knew in
do.
a way because he
Yeah,
kind of looked at him when they were doing that whole stare down. He like talked
yeah,
to Prince like Renee, and he's like, "Oh, you see that dude? That's his buddy, his special little buddy. You know what I mean?
So
yeah,
That's
definitely,
just
definitely a sense of like an open secret.
yeah."
yeah.
And it's funny too. It's like who's gonna challenge a dragon rider on his secrets like that?
That
Who's
is so
gonna
true.
like? Who's gonna be like, you're totally gay? He's gonna light your ass on
Oh,
fire.
yeah,
Sea
yeah.
smoke don't care.
Yeah.
That is true, Rob. What are you gonna say about a guy who rides a dragon? You're gonna be saying nothing.
Right. But God, I would honestly call it like it's called "We Like the Way," but honestly, I think it should be called, as Luke kind of like really straightened it out for us. It should be called Viserys Disrespect, like a serious.
Yeah.
It should be called Series Pain.
Everybody hates this.
Everybody hates this. Yeah,
Everybody hates
everybody
this.
hates this. That's what the episode should have been. That's what this episode would be called. Episode 4. Episode 4. Everybody hates this.
Yeah. But
It's
for me, it is funny that like because again, because we don't know which episode it's going to be when he died. Is this a 10 episode or is it like a 16 episode season?
It's a 10, I believe.
10. Okay. So yeah, obviously like the heavy stuff's probably not going to be till like next season. Um, or a couple seasons down. So he might die at the end of the season. For
I
me,
I think that's where it's gonna be too, and that's when the war
yeah,
is gonna start. And I even told Steve in the last episode we might not get to the war until next year.
Next year,
probably won't
dude.
get to the war. I suspect like my theory because they said that like this is a 1 to 4 planned.
5 seasons.
I suspect that they also do what they were rumored that they want to do like anthology style. Um, if it keeps being popular, they'll probably like
Yeah,
they'll just jump to another era. Um, if they like it. So I would suspect the last 3 seasons are all just going to be the Dance of the Dragons. Um, but for me, what's interesting is that like I have a feeling because at least this is what it seems like because we know that Viserys is just gonna he's just gonna die. He's like nothing. He's just gonna die because he's sick.
'cause I'm surprised he hasn't chopped his arm off. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm surprised nobody's
Like,
been like, bro. Problem is that
season
arm's gotta
your
go.
arm
Gates
is
have got to
literally like
keep
a
up
slug.
appearances.
Let's just cut it off.
Already, but it's funny to think that like he's just gonna die of old like nothing that's happening now, it's all happening to the other people. Like Viserys is never gonna get a reckoning for how kind of ineffectual he's been this whole goddamn
He
time.
even says that. He says that to Lionel Strong. He's like, "Will I be?" He's like, I didn't really do anything. I can't say I've been a king in battle. He's like, "I've never been tested."
Yeah, he's
He's
never been
That's what he
tested.
says. He's like,
Yeah,
"I've never been
like
tested."
yeah, and he's gonna die. Yeah, he's gonna die like that. And again, as far as I can tell, he's just kind of been there. They've never
It's
said,
That's how it is in the book too. He's always been kind of a tourney king. Like I think they had like three tourneys during his reign or something like that. Like
yeah,
that's where what Damon comes back during one of them. But he's known as that kind of king. I mean, he never really did nothing. I mean, he was kind of a guy who just kind of carried Jaehaerys like legacy, as they keep saying
yeah,
in the show. Like he just kept the peace. That's basically it. But Sir Otto is a little bit more insightful than I gave him credit for. He knows, like like you were saying, Luke. He knows there's going to be war once Rhaenyra, regardless of even if it was Alicent being on his. There will
yeah.
be war once she comes to power.
I love how he was saying that to her as he's leaving. He's like got one foot up on the horse, yelling at his daughter because she's like, why are you leaving? He's just like, because you're going to die or bend your knee.
Yeah.
You're gonna choose. I'm
Later.
leaving. Also, put my grandson on the throne. Like that's funny.
It's funny too, and spoilers, our audience, just because we like to give them, we like to tell you what's going on in the book as well as with the show. Sir Otto will be hand to the king again for a very short time. Because Aegon, yeah, once Aegon does ascend, he does make Sir Otto his hand, and then of course, So that's going to be all our real sharks coming to you live from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, talking to you about that game that matters, the Game of Thrones. Make sure to listen, like, and subscribe, and check out our shop for our Game of Thrones teas and help support the show. This is Rob with his two noble knights, Luke and Steve, saying we will catch you on the flip side.